Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Norfolk City Council meeting, February 17th, 2026. I would like to inform the public about the location of the Open Meetings Act posted in the council chambers and accessible to members of the public. At this time, we'll have a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Grandquist.
Here.
Arns.
Here.
Webb.
Here.
McCarthy. Beckman.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
Langy.
Here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
Mayor.
Here. All right, at this time, I'd like to ask for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
All right, now I need approval of the full agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
All right, this moves us to the special presentations this evening. We have a special presentation by the Nebraska Department of Economic Development recognizing Norfolk's recertification as an Economic Development Certified Community, EDCC.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Cheryl Hyatt with the Nebraska Department of Economic Development, and I'm here representing the department as well as the Nebraska diplomats to recognize the city of Norfolk on 20 years of economic development success as an economic development certified community. Norfolk is one of 40 communities across the state that have this certification, and one of the first communities in 2005 to get that certification initially, and has been recertified every 5 years since. The application and the recertification are a heavy lift, and I would like to recognize Candace Alder and her team at the Economic Development Office and the city for their work on the application and for all the projects that have contributed to the success of Norfolk. Economic development has changed over the last 20 years, quite a bit. It's much more comprehensive and broad-based. Industrial recruitment was primarily the focus of this program initially, but over 20 years, that's expanded and become a much more comprehensive, as has economic development in general, in practice, including things like strategic planning and available sites and buildings, existing business expansion and retention, local business incentives, workforce development. Now people recruitment, childcare, housing, and placemaking has taken the forefront with economic development, and Norfolk is excelling in many of these. Your downtown revitalization, the co-working space, the riverfront development, and other recreation projects in your community, as well as housing. I've been working alongside of the Economic Development Office here, and even before that, and the number of housing units that have been added to the community is just awesome. In the application, over 700 new units were identified over the last 5 years. And also accessing those rural workforce housing funds is really critical to having an ongoing funding source. So congratulations on that. Since 2020, they identified $600 million in private sector investment in the community, and that's awesome. In 2024, the Nebraska diplomats recognized the success of the community and honored Norfolk as the Nebraska Community of the Year. You also hosted the Nebraska Economic Developers Association, annual conference. So all of the economic developers from across the state came here, and I can assure you that your economic development efforts, the office and the city's efforts, are truly envied across the state. It's been my pleasure to work alongside the community for many years. Before you had an economic development office, I was here and since, And before we had an economic development certified community program in the office. So it's been amazing to see all that's been accomplished. So we at DED truly respect you at the city and your economic development efforts. And I want to congratulate you. I have a plaque to present as an economic development certified community for 5 more years.
Thank you, Cheryl. Who would we like to have come up for the plaque? Candace, your whole team?
Steve and Randy, will you join our team and just say a few things? I'm going to ask a couple of my colleagues to come up, but really the city staff working alongside us in various capacities has been what has made this happen and what has made all of this success that Cheryl mentioned possible. So we appreciate that. And Mayor, will you join us as well?
How do you want this? Mayor? You hold that.
I can hold that.
Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Thank you. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Candace, thank you for all your hard work on that. It's been truly a team effort. It's kind of crazy how many, what'd you say, 2005 was the first year, or 05? Yeah. So 20 years of economic development in the community, and it's really paid off. So anybody else have any comments or anything? It's kind of crazy Courtney's here tonight. She was one of our first economic development directors. What year was that, Courtney? 10? 12? 2012. Okay.
Yeah,
There was a few of us around back then.
I'll just make a comment. I thought what Cheryl said was really nice. Nice to hear an outside source talk about our community like that. And then, I guess secondly, I'd like to thank Candace, for all her hard work that she's given us over the years, and, we'll miss you. So, thanks for helping us out.
Thank you. Anything else? Anybody else? All right. With that, we'll move on to public hearings and related action. Item number 24. We're going to open a public hearing to consider Class C beer, wine, spirits on and off sale liquor license application. Is this M&B Lounge, is that right? Do I got that right? M&B Lounge, 815 South First Street. And the manager applicant is for Brenda Fuentes.
Okay, so on January 15th, 2026, I received the Class C liquor license application from Brenda Karina Fuentes, doing business as M&B Lounge, located at 815 South First Street, along with the manager application for Brenda Fuentes. A background check was conducted by the Norfolk Police Division, and the results are included in the agenda packet for your review. Following the public hearing, the next item on the agenda is the corresponding resolution, which will serve as the City Council's formal recommendation to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission regarding the issuance of this liquor license. To provide some background, the proposed initial use of the building was a lounge serving cocktails, beer, and wine in conjunction with food service, as stated in their application to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission. However, after several city staff members met with both the contractor and the applicant on site, the proposed business plan changed to a mercantile-style establishment due to the lack of space and parking, with alcohol sales limited to off-sale consumption only, with pre-packaged carry-out food options. At this time, we're unsure whether this remains the current business plan. Believe the applicant is present this evening and should be able to provide some clarification. They want to come on up?
You come forward now.
So, as a note, as they're approaching, please note that they do have a certified interpreter being utilized this evening, so please be mindful of this during the public hearing.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es María Cuellar. Dime tu nombre.
My name is Brenda Fuentes, and I'm her
Ted-
daughter.
The daughter, and then I'm Ted Myers.
So, first, can you explain what your business plan is for the store?
Entonces, al principio solamente quieren revisar un poquito su plan y su deseo sobre su negocio.
Está bien.
Quiero que le expliques tu plan.
¿Qué le explique?
Por favor.
Oh, ¿qué es que queremos hacer? Que platícales.
Okay, so we do want to have sell liquor and also like convenience type retail, and just to go because of the parking space, as you said.
Entonces, and I'm just gonna make sure that she understands what we're talking about, so I don't mean to talk over top. It's just to make that she understands clearly what in the conversation. So nomás, me estaba explicando su deseo acerca de la solicitud y sus deseos acerca del uso de la propiedad y sus ventas.
For clarification, do you plan on allowing liquor consumption within the store?
No, not at this moment.
Solamente para confirmar si ustedes van a dar el permiso de tomar alcohol dentro de su negocio.
¿Ya le dijiste?
Dije que no.
Ah,
So no, at this time there's no plan to have open containers or allow consumption within the establishment.
Okay. So with that, a Class C liquor license, which you have applied for, does allow beer, wine, distilled spirits sold for on consumption, so consumed within your premises, and sold off the premises.
Entonces, al momento, el tipo de la aplicación que ustedes están sometiendo incluye la posibilidad de tomar y aprovechar la cola dentro de su negocio. Entonces, ellos solamente quieren aclarar si se van a permitir o no.
No. We're not going to
Yep.
allow that.
So essentially, the liquor license you would need to be is a Class D, which would require a whole new application process with the Liquor Commission.
Al momento, la aplicación que ustedes sometieron sea bajo la letra C, que sea el permiso y la licencia de tomar y vender alcohol adentro de su negocio. Si quieres negar de que personas toman o si no quieren hacer la posibilidad de tomar adentro de su negocio, hay que someter otra solicitud.
Okay, sí, está bien.
está bien entonces.
So yes,
Okay.
they will resubmit the application then because it was not their intention to have alcohol consumed on the property.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. Okay. That would close this hearing unless there's any other discussion from the public. Right, seeing no further discussion, we will close the hearing and move on to item number 25. Consideration of approval of Resolution 2026-6 of the Class C beer, wine, spirits on and off sale liquor license application for Brenda Fuentes, DBA M&B Lounge, 815 South First Street, and the manager application of Brenda Fuentes.
I'll offer for consideration the approval of Resolution 2026-6 for the Class C liquor license application.
I would second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Some discussion.
Yep. So with our liquor license application processes, the resolution wording does recommend approval of the Class C liquor license. However, as they stated, they are going to reapply for Class D. So what I would recommend is we amend the resolution to recommend denial of the liquor license application. That way, they know that when they can reapply for that new license. Otherwise, you could vote it down, but I do have to give a recommendation to the Liquor Commission. That's part of the liquor license process. I do have to give a local recommendation.
So essentially, we can't, if we vote it down, you still have to do,
I do have to give a
so
recommendation.
if the motion was amended for denial,
Mm-hmm.
and the second would have to support that, and then.
Correct. Correct.
It's your court, Frank.
So it's just a smoother process if it looks like the council approves a denial rather than opposes approval. Does that make sense?
So we just need to amend it.
So we just need, correct, so we just need a motion to amend the resolution to recommend denial.
I would move to recommend to move the recommendation in denial of this resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay, so now we will go to vote on the amendment. Yep, so we're voting on the recommendation of a denial. So all council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries. So now we're going to go back and vote on the original resolution as amended.
Do we need to read that, or?
Nope, nope.
Okay.
Since it's already been opened. Now we just need the vote. So we're recommending the denial, is what we're voting on. All council members present voting in the affirmative, Resolution 2026-6 is adopted as amended.
What's that? Yeah. All right, move on to item number 26. We're going to open the hearing, public hearing at the request of Teresa M. Ramirez and Janet Oberhauser to consider zoning change from OD Office District to R3 Multiple Family Residential District on a property generally located southwest of the intersection of South 16th Street and Park Avenue. Sorry, Val, you're geared to lead us in discussion here.
Yes, thank you. I've brought the piece of property up. It's kind of this backward L shape highlighted here. West Side School is just to the north and west, and then I believe it's maybe still a chiropractic or maybe a daycare now. I don't know if both of them are happening there. What the request is, this square, including the office building, is OD. And so the people would like to build some townhomes in the proposed L shape. And so that would require an R3. Otherwise, they could do multifamily in OD, but it would be under a conditional use permit. This is just a cleaner way of doing a zone change instead of a cup on top of something. And the comp plan actually calls for it to be multifamily, so it does comply with the comprehensive plan as this request. If there's any questions, the applicant is here if you have any specifics for them.
Any questions for the applicant? This is a public hearing. Does anybody else have any input on this particular project from the public? Anyone else?
I will say that I did drive by there, and I think it'd be a wonderful use for that land over there. Very nice.
All right, well, with seeing no discussion, we're going to close the hearing. What's that? Oh, yeah.
So the Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on February 3rd, 2026 to consider a zoning change from OD Office District to R3 Multiple Family Residential District on property generally located southwest of the intersection of South 16th Street and Park Avenue. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the request with the 8-0 vote.
All right, now we're going to close the hearing, and now we're going to ask for motion for consideration of ordinance number 5969, approving a zoning change from OD to R3 on a property generally located southwest of the intersection of South 16th Street and Park Avenue.
I'll make a motion for consideration of ordinance number 5969. Sorry.
Second.
All right, a motion and second. And Val again will lead us in discussion if we have any questions. We have no questions up here. Anybody from the public have any questions? All right. Seeing none, short title, please.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
All right. Please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance number 5969 carries on first reading.
Seeing no opposition, I'd make a motion we suspend the rules and pass ordinance number 5969 on second and third.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance number 5969 carries on second and third.
All right, this moves us on to our regular agenda. Item number 28, consideration of approval of change order number 2F with Elkhorn Paving Construction Company for the concrete improvements 2025-1 project, resulting in a net increase of $13,945.16.
Move for consideration of the approval of change order number 2F.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Steve, are you going to lead us in discussion on this then, or is it Anna? Anna is? Okay, come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm presenting the change order for Elkhorn Paving Construction for the 2025 project. This is resulting in a net increase of $13,945. The project has been completed. The remaining change order, the remaining work that needed to be done was on their contract to crush the concrete pile that we had down at our WPC area. So all of the concrete that they take out is part of the street repair projects, and also our city streets projects. They take all the concrete down there and then put it in a pile, and then we have somebody come in typically maybe twice a year and crush the pile so we can use that for further construction. We use it as base material. So there was an increase in our estimated quantities that we had because of other repairs in city streets and things like that.
So you had an increase in excess concrete that you brought in, that they brought in? Okay.
That whomever, yes, that Elkhorn brought in.
Right.
And then, there's different entities that come in, bring it in too.
Okay.
So, but we took advantage of that instead of having somebody else come in on a different contract and crush it, so.
Any other questions for Anna? Any questions from the public? Right. Seeing no further discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
All right, on to number 29. Consideration of approval to purchase the 4 Stryker Light Pack defibrillator cardiac monitors with associated equipment and 4 LU, or is that be Lucas 3, I'm assuming, medical CPR devices with associated equipment for the total price of $290,000, $324.73.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Trevor O'Brien, Assistant Fire
One
Chief.
second, we need a motion and a second to open.
I'll make a motion for consideration of approval.
Second.
Okay, go ahead.
So excited about
Jumping
this.
the gun, I'm
defibrillator.
pumped. I'm ready to go.
Gotta get up here, all right.
So, tonight, we're requesting approval to purchase 4 cardiac monitors, which are kind of like the AD you see out here with bunch more capabilities, which I'll get into in a moment. And then Lucas CPR devices, which assist us when we have a cardiac arrest. Those devices are something we use on 90% of calls that we go on. They'll take vital signs. They'll show us cardiac rhythms. We can shock people that are in cardiac arrest with them and monitor tons of different parameters for patients. The Lucas devices you see listed on here, those are specific to cardiac arrest. They actually do the chest compression component for us, which allows us to keep CPR going while we're transporting the patient from inside the house to the ambulance and so on and so forth. Another vital key component to what we do, they've been proven to have better outcomes for patients and allow us to take patients to, say, the cath lab for procedures that they wouldn't otherwise probably be able to do without that device. With that, we secure these devices in the ambulance with a mounting plate. So that's what you see there. There's monitor mounts on the staff memo. All of that for cardiac monitors for Lucas devices with the mounting brackets comes to $290,324.73. We had $297,000 budgeted, so we're about $6,675.27 under budget. So we were happy with that at the end of the day. We're looking to buy this under a Sourcewell contract. We had two different monitors come in for a few weeks. We had Zoll and Stryker Physio, which is what at the end of the day we kind of ended up with. And then at the end of the day, with that Sourcewell contract, we came out to like $50 difference for the whole package, which was kind of impressive. So nonetheless, that's kind of what we're looking at here. Our lieutenants do a great job of keeping these things up, keeping them going for us. The general lifespan for a service like ours is about 8 years. We've had these since 2017, so we're pushing that lifespan limit, and we're just ready to move forward with new monitors. So I entertain any questions that you have.
So these new monitors, you said you purchased the last one in 2017. These new monitors, are there new technology with these compared to the 17?
Yeah, quite a bit. Our old monitors were a lot of keys, dials. These are all touchscreen. They have a lot of other components in them that allow us to look at cardiac rhythms a little more in depth on the monitor themselves. It's a bigger screen, updated and upgraded technology, which allows us to do better QA/QI, quality assurance stuff. So there's actually what's called code stat that comes on the back end of that, and we download all of our data into that, and then we can review that with our crews and make improvements on further cardiac arrests and cardiac cases that we have.
And these four are put inside the ambulance?
Yeah, they're mobile. So we
Okay.
put them in there, and we're able to take them into the patient's house.
Okay.
So if you've ever been around, it's one of the tools that we take in almost every single call.
Okay.
So.
So the delivery time frame on it, once we place the order?
Yeah, so if we were to place the order, say, tomorrow, we would have them by March 31st. And then they will provide 3 days of training for all of our shift personnel and even our reserve staff that can make it in on those days. They actually plan to come for an entire week. Since we went to the 4896, they'll have to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday to catch all 3 shifts. And then the gentleman that's going to train us is actually going to ride along with us on Tuesday and Thursday to provide some in-the-field training as well.
And so the data that's acquired in that, is that transferable then to the ERs that way?
Yeah, we actually, they pay for a system on their end that we transmit into, as well as a lot of our surrounding communities. So when we get a 12 lead, we push a button, and actually the new monitors have an auto feature where they'll just send it right to the ER if they get it before the patient's ever there, and they can prepare what they need to prepare before we get there.
So it's not just red positive, black negative then?
Not quite. And if you do put them backwards, I mean, you get some interesting stuff, but no arcing or anything
Right,
like
okay.
that. So.
That's good to know. Good to know.
Trevor, I do have a question. So the 4 life packs and the 4 Lucases, those are just being replaced, right?
Correct.
Are you adding any units there at all?
We are not. So we have 4 ambulances, and each one has a a Lucas and a monitor on it. This quote actually, if you had a chance to look at it, it does come with some trade-in value. So each of the monitors, we get $8,000 worth of trade-in value, and then 3 of the Lucases are a little older, so we get $5,000 a piece, and then one of them is a little newer, but not the newest technology that actually syncs up with the monitor. And that one we're getting about $6,000 back for. So it's just a 1-to-1 trade.
Okay, good. I have a tough question for you. 8 years ago, were you around when they bought these originally?
I was, yeah.
Do you know roughly what that cost was?
I did look this up. I think they were about $35,000 a piece at that time. They're actually $48,000 a piece for the monitors themselves. So they've gone up a little bit, but over 9 years, I'd say it's consistent with most things that have gone up.
Mm-hmm. But it's more expensive today than it was 8 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're still discussing this. Anybody from the public have any questions or discussion? Anybody else up here? All right. Seeing no more discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
All right, on to number 30. Trevor, I was going to see if you had them here. We might need them after this next agenda item.
He said March.
Okay.
He said.
It was March. Might have to wait a minute before, no. Anyway, on to item number 30. Consideration of approval of a professional retail operations, or PRO, agreement between Nebraska Public Power District, NPPD, and the city of Norfolk.
Move consideration of approval.
Second.
All right, Steve's going to lead us in discussion here.
Mayor and Council, before you this evening is the updated or new agreement that we've been negotiating with NPPD. This would replace our current agreement that's been in place roughly since about 2000, if I recall correctly. We've been working on this diligently for the past, since about mid-2018. It took a little hiatus during COVID. We aggressively re-engaged in this endeavor here back in March with NPPD. And again, what's before you tonight is the efforts of those conversations. We did present the agreement as a special presentation here a couple council meetings ago. I don't know if there's anything you want me to walk through relative to that. It is a 20-year agreement. Well, yeah, it's a 20-year agreement. If we do not provide notice prior to the anniversary of the 15th year, it turns into a 25-year agreement. I believe for all practical purposes, I like to look at it as probably a 12 to 15-year agreement. I say that because at some point, just like we've been negotiating this since about 2018, the current agreement terminates in 2030. So I think somewhere around the 13th anniversary, we'll start renegotiating this agreement. So again, the agreement before you was presented at special presentation, and I would leave it at that and answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion from the council here? Otherwise, we're going to ask discussion for public at this point in time. Come forward if you have anything to state.
Jim McKenzie. I don't have a problem with the lease, but I do have a problem with the increase in the lease rate, which is effectively the city's electricity tax. I urge you not to increase it to 12.5%. Never in the history of Norfolk has it been that high. Why now? I would offer the following information on a study that was performed. This is a 10-year-old study I got from another city, and I don't know, obviously things could have changed since then, but in that study, Norfolk and Kearney were at 12%, Columbus was at 10%, Hastings was at 5.5, Fremont was at 6.25, Norfolk 5%, North Platte 5%, Grand Island 5%. Some of those are charging themselves because of their own utilities, but obviously it looks like we were way on the high side. And so I think we need to back off on that rate increase. If you increase that tax rate, it just makes Norfolk less competitive for business recruitment and retention. It makes Norfolk also less attractive to prospective citizens. I asked AI a question: has anyone ever taxed themselves to prosperity? And this is the answer I got. Based on historical analysis and economic commentary, no country has ever successfully taxed itself into prosperity. While taxes are necessary for public services, high taxation is generally viewed as a barrier to growth, often reducing investment, innovation, and economic activity. In Norfolk, the general fund property taxes have tripled from $1.981 million to over $6 million in the past 10 years. And we are now facing an upcoming budget crisis, a potential $2.6 million deficit, and possibly looking at the largest property tax increase in the history of the city. Did increasing property taxes dramatically over the past 10 years lead to prosperity, or just more appetite for spending and perceived need for even higher taxes? If you increase this electricity tax, it will be swished into the city revenue stream and spending will go up immediately to absorb it. It will be gone before you even know it. It's time to take a hard look at our spending. We must improve efficiencies and reduce spending to make Norfolk more competitive and livable. This constant push to increase taxes and spend more will only lead to more of the same and a poor outlook for our community. Just say no. Enough is enough. Let's change the narrative and push for efficiency, accountability, and a Norfolk that respects our citizens' financial well-being, while simultaneously looking for smart ways to grow the community through job growth and business expansion and retention. Thank you.
Jim, I got a question. Your survey is 10 years old?
Yep.
Okay. Out of those municipals that you had spoke of, how many of them are owned by their own municipality? There's Hastings, North Platte, which they own. Columbus is owned by Loop Power. Which other ones are on there?
Well, Columbus isn't, they don't own the utility. Loop Power
No,
owns it.
no, you're right, but it's still Loop Power. It's not Nebraska Public Power.
Right.
Which other ones are on there?
So Fremont, North Platte.
Fremont is owned by their own utility.
Yep.
Okay, which other ones?
North Platte, we already talked about that.
Yep.
Grand Island.
Yep, they own their own utilities. They own their own generation.
So what would be the difference if they own it or not?
All I'm saying is that you are not comparing apples to apples.
But still,
You're not comparing apples to apples.
It's a burden, let me finish. It's a burden on the taxpayers. That increased taxpayer burden on their electricity bill, the taxpayers have to pay it. So you can say, well, they own their own electricity, but the taxpayers, it's coming out of their checkbook.
And I look at it differently, is this is a user tax, not a property tax. This is, you only are getting, the 0.5% that you're talking about is only on the amount of consumption that you're using. It is not on anything else. It is not on anything else. It is only what you're using. That is a fair way to say the consumption tax.
How many businesses or citizens in this city don't use electricity?
How many what? Businesses don't use electricity?
How many businesses and citizens in this city don't use electricity?
I understand what you're asking. And what I'm going to say to you is that if the increase, which I did on my house, is a dollar, and it's an extra $1.06 in a month's time on my bill. So if I need to deduct $1.06, I'll have my kids shut the lights off when they leave the room every time, and I have consumed my $1.06.
My point in what I spoke of was the constant pressure to increase taxes and increase taxes and increase taxes. This will be the highest it's ever been in the history of the city of Norfolk. At some point in time, you have to say, even so it's $1, everything is a little amount. I've heard that so many times over the last it's just a little amount. It all adds up. This is gonna take another couple $100,000 out of the community's pocket. It all adds up. At some point in time, you have to look at your spending and say, do we always increase taxes on our citizens every time we need more money? Or do we say, no, enough is enough, we've got to find a different way? That's my point. Thank you.
Anyone else have something?
David Jansma. Well, to a couple points. I looked at my bill, which I never do. I pay it. On my bill, which last month was quite high, there's a lease payment of $40.50. There's a gross revenue tax of $16.87, Nebraska sales tax of $18.56, Norfolk sales tax of $6.75, to the tune of $109.43 worth of taxes and fees for me to be able to turn my lights on. I really don't want to pay anymore. I think I'm taxed enough. Yes, I appreciate the fact that my lights work, everything goes on, that I'm comfortable in paying the bill, but it's time to stop. I mean, a third of my bill goes to lease payments and taxes, whether it be the city or the state. I think that's extreme. I think we need to look at this and take a step back and try and help people out rather than hinder them. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? I see no further public comment.
So, Your Honor, one thing I'd like to say about this, I think Corey had a good representation of what this really is. I mean, I hear people say that it's a tax. It's not. It's a user's fee. And for years and years and years, while I was on the council, we were trying to figure out ways to get around from having taxing people. And one of the main things at that point in time was, let's develop more user fees. Yeah, do we all use electricity? We do, but do we all use electricity to a high extent? You know, that's comes down to your choice that way. So, with the Nebraska sales tax is there regardless. So, I see it as a user's fee. Again, as Corey did, took my bill and ran it, and I'm a total electric situation at my residence, and the total, including the sales tax on top of the extra 0.5%, was $1.22. I ran it for my business. My business that generates a lot of, I mean, we have a lot of expense otherwise, and our total difference was going to be $2 and some odd cents. But we watch how we use our electricity, so it's a user's fee. I totally support this, so.
I've been contacted by a lot of people about this issue. When I first ran for this seat, I said I would be a voice for the people, and that is exactly what I intend to be. Although our property taxes have gone down, now we're assessing another fee onto the citizens, and they don't want it. So I cannot support this issue because I'm going to hold true to my word.
I just feel like there's some questions around the lease and the wording, and then this 0.5%, how it would be utilized. I just wonder if we want to be better off to have more discussion on this as a council, get more information. So with that, I would like to make a motion to table this issue until we can get more clarification on a couple different details. That's the motion on the table.
Okay, with that, please vote. Voting in the affirmative, Grandquist, Arns, Jensen, Webb, Beckman. Voting in opposition, Langy, Hildebrand. Motion carries.
All right, so that moves to item number 31, but that, we have nothing to do with 31 now that we just tabled 30, so, correct?
Correct. So,
Okay. All right. Okay, right, we'll need to open consideration of approval for resolution 2026-7, approving the professional retail operations agreement between Norfolk Public Power District and the city of Norfolk.
just need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion for consideration of approval of resolution 2026-7.
Second.
So with this one, if the agreement would have passed, this would have been the resolution executing the agreement, putting the notice of transaction in the paper. Because that agreement was tabled, this resolution is now null and void until that agreement passes. Does anybody have any questions or any discussion on this? So we can entertain a motion to table as well.
I'll make a motion to table.
Second. Motion second.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
We are adjourned.